Hello, everyone. Welcome back to In the Yard podcast with your hosts, Collin and Braeden Cox. And today we're joined by another guest, my cousin, diehard Jets fan, diehard Yankees fan, Brent Peechatka. Brent, thanks for coming on today.
What's going on, guys? How we doing? How we feeling?
Good.
I'm feeling good.
I feel the question is, Brent, how are you feeling? This episode is going to be about Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. And Brent, as a Jets fan, I want to hear your first reaction. I mean, we all saw it coming pretty much for the most part, but we didn't know, especially with Aaron Rodgers, you never know what's actually going to happen. But yesterday, or 2 days ago, it was made official that Aaron Rodgers would be on the Jets this season. So just give me your reaction as a Jets fan. How you feeling?
I mean, we'll put it like this. We'll flashback a couple months ago. It's December, a rainy night, and December, Thursday night football, Jaguars, Jets, and Zach Wilson's the starting quarterback. And we win the game. We're probably going to go on a playoff run. We don't make the playoffs at all. And sure enough, what was it, 78 yards, no touchdowns, 3 total points. I mean, and that night on, as a Jets fan, you're like, this is so Jets. Like, here we go, another couple more years of this. Like, number 2 overall pick didn't work out. Loses to Trevor Lawrence there. Number 1 pick could have had him. We won those bullcrap games a couple years ago. So it's like you're so demoralized. So going the offseason, you knew, okay, like no more Zach Wilson. Who's it going to be? And as the months kind of went on, you heard Aaron Rodgers. Weren't sure, though. I didn't want to get too excited. Wasn't getting my hopes up. But then he had that press conference with Pat McAfee and said he was coming. Ever since then, I've been like, I got the news last week then and ecstatic. I mean, have the Jets ever had a quarterback in the past 25, 30 years as half of Aaron Rodgers' talent? I mean, besides
Mark Sanchez
at the end there. I mean, Mark Sanchez, Aaron Rodgers. I mean,
Gino?
Yeah, I'm ecstatic.
Yeah. So, Brent, here on In the Yard, I predicted this was like way before the whole Rodgers to the Jets McAfee episode. This was before his darkness retreat. I thought Derek Carr was going to up on the Jets. I just thought it would have been a little bit safer of a deal, a little bit cheaper. And you would have had, I feel the Jets would have had a little bit more stability for the next 5 years. Because let's face it, it's win or it's do or die now for the Jets, right? At this point.
I think, I'll say this. If you ask me, like, for the next 4 years, do we want to be a contender, like, wild card team? I think Derek Carr is a safe option. And I think Derek Carr gets you that 9-10 wins you need to probably squeak in the playoffs. But if we want to compete for a conference championship in a Super Bowl, when you have Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, new division. I mean, Tua looked good when healthy last year. Justin Herbert, I think you have to go Aaron Rodgers because he gives you that ceiling. I think his maybe his low is a little lower than Carr's because he might not play. You know, he's Aaron Rodgers antics and this and that and can't get along with teammates sometimes. But the Jets haven't had a Super Bowl since '69, so it's like I think you got to go all in, and Rodgers gives you that chance this year to go all in.
Right,
so for what we gave up, I mean, I'm happy.
Right. That's a good point, Brent. That's a good point. So, Braeden, as a Packers fan, personally, from an outsider, I feel like the Packers won the trade in the long run, but I feel like both teams definitely benefited. Like Jets have their core guys right now. All they needed really was a quarterback, have a good defense, have a good offense. All they needed was that quarterback. So Jets went and got their guy. But Packers, a little bit of a rebuilding year. I mean, maybe not even rebuilding because they were 1 win away from a playoff berth again.
Yeah.
But it was overall just time. We said it before. Overall time for the Packers and Rodgers to part ways. So give me your first reaction to Rodgers leaving officially and this new Jordan Love era for Green Bay.
Yeah, so, when the news officially broke and really, like, when he went on Pat McAfee, like, that's when, like, the news really broke because he basically said, like, I'm playing for the Jets or I'm retiring, right? He said he wasn't going to be Packers. So keep that in mind. Like, he said, I'm not playing for the Green Bay Packers again, right? I think when the trade officially happened, 2 days ago at this point, the initial reaction is Jets won the trade because they got Aaron Rodgers, right? But then you look at the trade package and draft capital and the salary and all that, and then you're like, maybe the Packers won this trade. But if you look at it, you can't really say who won this trade yet, right? Because the way I look at it is, if the Jets go and win the Super Bowl next year, they obviously won the trade. Even if they win it the following year, even if it takes them 2 years, they win the trade, right? But like you said, Steve, They've pushed all the chips forward, right? It's do or die, right? With all the draft capital they gave up, like they're in a position now where they're saying, "Hey, we got to win the Super Bowl in the next 3 years." You know what I mean? And on the flip side of that, like I look at the Packers as like they essentially got what they wanted. Rodgers said, "Hey, I'm not playing here next year, right? Trade me or I'm retiring." They got a decent, draft capital out of it, and they got rid of the salary. Like the Jets are now accountable for like 60 million or something like that. There's that conditional pick thrown in there with the hope that Rodgers plays 65% of his games, which I can't imagine doesn't happen unless he gets hurt.
Right.
So, and that was really what I was hoping. I was like, you got to get a first-round pick out of him. And it's conditional, but I think we're all under the impression that he will play 65% of games, which would be what, like 12 games, something like that. But yeah, man, I mean, congrats. You know, the only way I look at it is like, we're on to the Jordan Love era. He was 39. He was ready to move on. I think the Packers are ready to move on, and the Jets were waiting for the quarterback. It worked out for both sides. It's just a matter of, who won the trade. Ask me in 2 years. You can even ask me in a year. If the Jets win the Super Bowl, then they won the trade. But then I look at the teams, like Brent mentioned. You got to deal with Patrick Mahomes. You're going to have to deal with Burrow. You're not getting to the Super Bowl without beating at least one of those teams. You're going to have to deal with Buffalo twice a year.
Right, too, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have to deal with Buffalo twice a year. Might see them in the playoffs. A team like Miami, a lot of people are high up on Tua. Tua was arguably an MVP candidate through the first, month of the season. And then you got teams like the Chargers and the Jags in there. But really, I think if we're going to rank like the top 4 or 5 teams in the AFC, we're going to say the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Jets. And then you can throw in Buffalo. You could throw in a team like Miami. You could throw in another team there. But if you were to ask me where, like, I see these teams at the end of next season, I don't think the Packers are going to make the playoffs. Maybe. All we've been really talking about this offseason is Detroit is on, on the come-up. But then they've had some issues with players and, the gambling issues that have been going on, so that might negatively affect the team. A team like Minnesota, I've always thought they're frauds. In Chicago, you know what I mean? Like, you don't really know. Like, the NFC North is kind of wide open. If Jordan Love has a good season, they could squeak into the playoffs, but they're not going to win the Super Bowl next year. They're in rebuild mode, and kind of the way I look at it is, this was inevitable. This was going to happen. The Packers were going to have to go into a rebuild regardless, right? Rodgers was just kind of like delaying the inevitable. So that's why, both teams end up, kind of winning the trade in their own sense.
Right.
And then as far as the Jets, where I think the Jets, they're going to make the playoffs, right? Where they finish in the AFC East, we can talk about. But I just pulled up like their 2023 opponents. So besides the AFC East, which accounts for 6 games, they got Washington. They're going to beat them. Philadelphia will be a good game. That'll probably be a primetime game. Atlanta they'll probably beat. The Chargers will be a good game. That they're gonna host Kansas City. That's gotta be Sunday night.
It's gonna be a test. It's gonna be a test game for them.
That's gonna be a huge test. They're gonna beat Houston, and then they're gonna go on the road to Dallas. Rodgers kind of owns the Cowboys, so I wouldn't be surprised if he went down there and beat them pretty good. They're gonna play the Giants. Probably will beat them. Denver could be a good game. Cleveland, they'll beat Las Vegas, they'll beat. So they're probably going to win. I can't really see them losing more than
because the Jets don't they have a 4th place schedule?
I'm not entirely sure.
Brent, what?
Yeah. I think
they finished 4th in the division.
Yeah, I think so.
They have.
So that's why they're getting teams like Denver. They're getting Denver. They're getting the Raiders. They're getting Cleveland. They're getting Atlanta.
Right.
But yeah, it all goes well. They're probably not losing more than 5 games with that schedule. The Bills and Dolphins will probably take one from both of them. You know what I mean? And then a couple of those toss-ups, like, they could beat Kansas City as far as I'm aware in the regular season. Playoffs may be a different story. But, no, they're definitely on the come-up. It's going to be exciting to see. And I'm happy for Rodgers. I hope it works out. I would hate to see kind of like what happened in Green Bay the past few years where like, you know, it was just kind of toxic. Like I'd hate for that to just like infiltrate the Mets or the Jets facility and then just
that kind of brings us to my next point. So Brent, obviously we saw the Rodgers antics in Green Bay. Are you worried about that, especially with that New York media? We've said this before. Rodgers ran Green Bay, like whatever he said went. And I think we also talked about this, Braeden. Like it just won't slide in New York, right? You got to play by the rules in New York, especially with that media over there. So are you at all like worried about how it's going to affect him?
No, I'm not, because I don't know if you saw the press conference today, but he looks younger. He looks happy. Him and Saleh are dabbing up. And you got to remember, too, Saleh's a defensive coach, so he's going to run the defense, which was great last year. Absolutely great.
Right.
He'll be the best in the league.
Yep.
And I think they're going to let Rodgers have a little reins of the offense. He's worked with Hackett, success in Green Bay. He likes Hackett. Hackett's his guy. So I'm excited. I think it's going to work out. They brought in Lazard, veteran that he knows. Corey Davis is a veteran. Garrett Wilson's better than any receiver had last year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sure, Christian Watson's faster, and Christian Watson, I think, is going to be a beast. But, I mean, Garrett Wilson is just more polished than any Green Bay receiver last year. So I'm excited, man. I think if we go – here's the question. Do we go tackle in the draft at 15? Or do we go your boy out of Ohio State, another receiver, and just give Rodgers all the weapons in the world? That's going to be the question. I think you have to go tackle, but I'm not going to be mad if Jackson Smith ends up a New York Jet after draft night tomorrow.
Right. So which receiver would it be? It would be Harrison or JSN?
I mean, obviously, rather have Marvin Harrison, but he can't come out this year. So,
okay.
So I would go. I think you have to go. You have to go JSN. He's the only receiver that's worth the top 20 pick, in my opinion.
Right.
But
Gotcha.
if they want no tackle, to me, it's left tackle or JSN. So either of those, I'll be happy.
Cool. Yeah. So obviously, that AFC was already stacked in the quarterback class, and now it got just even more stacked. So it's definitely going to be tough to win. It's going to be super fun AFC. Loads of talent. You have Burrow, Mahomes, Rodgers, Herbert.
Trevor Lawrence
is on the come up.
Year, man.
We're excited to see what Kenny Pickett could do.
Let me put it in. Let me put it in perspective for you. I'm just going to list some quarterbacks in the AFC. I'm just right off this list here. I'm going to go.
Lamar. We'll see what happens with Lamar. Go ahead, Bray. Sorry.
Josh Allen.
I forgot to say Josh Allen.
Tua. Aaron Rodgers now with the Jets. Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow. Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson. Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence. Patrick Mahomes. Kansas City. And Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers. One of those quarterbacks is not making the playoffs.
And I would throw in Watson too. You gotta think Deshaun comes
back
healthy and with a full year with the team. I mean,
also maybe what about Russell Wilson with Sean Payton as the Broncos?
That's what I'm saying. Like there's gonna be some like I'm not saying surprises are gonna miss the playoffs, but the AFC stacked at the quarterback position. Like it wouldn't be shocking at all if a player like Russell Wilson missed the playoffs. Like even if they had a great year.
Yeah, I mean he missed playoffs last year, so. Right? Yeah.
I just think the Jets' defense was so good last year. I think we only got better. All those guys got a year older, and we're more honed in. You got to think like Sauce Gardner's got a year under his belt now. I just think they're going to take him over the top, at least to a playoff spot. I think that defense is too good. I mean, last year we beat Buffalo with Zach Wilson. We go to Buffalo, we lose at the end of the game essentially with Mike White at QB. Mm-hmm. So many games like that last year. I mean, I just think we can move the ball. It's a game changer. It's literally a season changer. So
for sure.
They barely missed the playoffs last year and didn't really have a quarterback to mess around with, and now they've got one of the best of all time.
Right, the worst quarterback play in the league, arguably last year. Maybe the.
So what is your expectation?
Yeah,
right?
that was going to be one last thing before we wrap it up. We're running out of time a little bit.
What is your expectation?
So give me your expectations. There.
My expectation is 11-6, 12-5. And at least an appearance in the conference championship. I think that's going to be the minimum. Obviously, I want a Super Bowl, and I think we can go. but I want to get to a conference championship. It's been too long in New York.
So would you consider the season to be a failure if you guys got bounced in the wild card or even the divisional?
I wouldn't say failure because I think Jet fans are so desperate for a playoff berth.
Yeah.
It would depend. Like, if we lose in the divisional round to Mahomes 37-34 and it's a shootout, I'm not going to be mad over that because I'm like, you know what? That was a great game.
Fair enough.
Here. Shows we're back on the map. But if we get back to the wild card to Jacksonville and it's 19-10 in like a rainy game, I'm going to be annoyed. So, yeah, I would say that about that. But I'm excited.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm super excited to see what Rodgers to the Jets brings, not just for the Jets, but also for the AFC East as a whole and the AFC as a whole, and even the league if he makes it that far.
So
obviously, I'm hoping he doesn't make it that far, but we'll see how it goes.
Don't the Chiefs, because they won the Super Bowl, get to pick who their like first game is against?
Are they doing that this year?
Right? Isn't that how it works? Like, if you win the
No.
Super Bowl, like, I thought that's how it worked. If you won the Super Bowl, you got the Thursday night, you got the opening game, and you got to pick your opponent.
Really?
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I feel like I don't know if they get to pick because some of these past years they've had some tough opening games. I don't think Tampa would have picked Dallas to start off with this past year.
And the Rams picked the Bills, right?
Maybe,
that's what I meant. Yeah.
maybe I got that wrong. I thought that was a thing. But how cool would it be if the opening game of the season was Jets and Chiefs? That'd be very cool.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. So the opponents are out, but not the actual schedule, right?
Right.
Yeah,
I just said
the opponents.
The Jets would get either 5 or 6 primetime games. So we didn't have a primetime. We had one last year. So it was a Thursday night. The one.
Yeah,
Well, I'll tell you,
gets those. It's like a participation
that
trophy.
the Eagles game and the Chiefs game have to be in prime time. And they're going to put one of the Buffalo Bills games in prime time. So like that's at least story.
Even the Dolphins.
Probably,
It also helps that their division is also really good, so like they could throw any of those teams in there.
I could see them going Jets Patriots on a Monday night too. They've done that a couple years because that's going to be a scrappy game. Like it just will be. Even if the Patriots were better than the Patriots, which we are on paper by a lot, it looks like it's just going to be a scrappy game.
They might even play like Dallas or the Giants in prime time, right?
Giants would be cool, and then maybe the Cowboys, because the NFL loves the Cowboys.
That's 7, so I mean, like, it's totally possible.
There's a limit, though. I think you only have, 5.
It was either 5 or 6, 5 or 6.
Something like that. There's, a limit to how many primetime games you could play. So.
Cool.
Yeah, cool. I think that about wraps it up for me. Do you guys have anything else you want to add?
I'm good. Go Jets.
I'm all aboard the Jordan Love train. That's what I'll leave it with.
That'll be interesting.
Right. We'll see what happens. Who knows? It worked last time when we transitioned from Favre to Rodgers.
It would just be a shame. It would be a shame if the Jets did all this just to lose to Joe Burrow. So, all right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Hope you enjoyed. That's our Aaron Rodgers to the Jets reaction. Hope you enjoyed the show, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you, everyone.
Yep.